Voted one of the best movies of the 1990s, Lars von Trier's Breaking the Waves is almost 25 years old. Does it still hold up? Let's answer that question, investigating and analyzing the movie, coming up next. Alright, so in 1996, Von Trier released Breaking the Waves, which was a big movie for him. It garnered him all kinds of acclaim. The movie is about a young Scottish woman named Bess McNeill, who played memorably by Emily Watson. This is one of the reasons you watch this movie, to see Emily Watson's performance. Bess McNeill is a simple woman, maybe lower on the IQ scale. She cleans a church. She attends a very strict, even you might say repressive church in Scotland. She's part of a family where we see her mother and father, but they don't interact with her much or do much with her. It's her sister Dodo McNeill, with which she has a great relationship. The very beginning of the movie starts off really quickly with the first line being, his name is Jan. Now Jan is a working class man on an oil rig. He works off the coast of Scotland. We never really learn how he and Bess meet, nor how their relationship developed. We know instantly at the beginning of the movie she's going to marry him. And right away you have this tension between the insider community of Bess McNeill's family and church, and then this outsider Jan coming in. At the beginning of the movie, she was even asked by a church official, what good are these outsiders, namely Jan and his friends? And she actually answers, interestingly, music.
Can you think of anything of real value that the outsiders have brought with them?
Their music?
Well, music is a very crucial part of this movie, if you didn't notice. Almost the entire movie doesn't have a score. There's only one moment in the movie where the movie world has a score. Actually, it's a pop song played on top of it. There are chapter titles in this movie that also have pop songs, 7 of them, but that's it. There's no other score. I'll talk about why that's important in a few minutes. At the beginning of the movie, we see Bess marry Jan. They have a wonderful early relationship. Bess is a virgin. She discovers the joys of sex, and she really, really loves Jan, who seems to love her. Problem is that Jan has to go back to his oil rig. That means Bess must live alone, enduring life as her mother tells her to. So she waits eagerly and expectantly for Jan's phone calls from the oil rig for Jan to return. But there's a terrible accident on the oil rig. Jan is hit in the head by a pipe very hard, and he's paralyzed. That means that Bess has only had one brief moment, really maybe a week's period, who knows how long, with her husband. He's now in a hospital. Thankfully, Dodo, her sister, is a nurse, and Bess has to visit Jan. The movie focuses on Jan, played wonderfully by Stellan Skarsgård, in a hospital bed, paralyzed, not able to enjoy his wife, knowing that he and his wife Bess have only had a week together or so. One of the main problems here for them is they can't enjoy marital relations. They can't have sex together because, of course, Jan is paralyzed. So a major problem develops in the middle of the movie is when Jan actually commands Bess to go have sex with other men and then come back and tell him about her experiences. Bess is at once trapped. First, she's a simple woman, as they said. Second, she lives in a patriarchal community in which she's told to obey her husband. In fact, this is a command taken very strictly by the church that she attends. I think it's a Scottish Covenanter church. They do not allow women to speak in the services. And so within that environment, Bess says, I must obey Jan. I must, go have sex with other men. He knows he's being perverse. He knows he's doing something wrong, I think. And so trying to mitigate between Bess and Jan's new weird relationship is a young doctor and also Dodo, her sister.
You see, love can save Jan. You must not forget about love. He told me that. He tells me what to do.
Yes, I'm glad that you listen to Jan, but don't let him gain too much power over you. Sickness is a mighty power, you know that.
I've saved Jan.
Don't talk like that, it's stupid!
Now, at this point, I will not spoil any more for you. I want to talk a little bit about how this movie is made, its stylistic choices, and how those sync up with the themes of the movie. First, Von Trier uses certain techniques in this movie, handheld cameras, throughout the entire movie. As I also said, there is no music other than at one moment. overlaid on top of the movie. The film also has washed out color schemes. It actually looks either golden or jaundiced. Almost the entire movie, really the entire movie, is this yellowish or grayish hue. That fits in with the dour themes, first of all, of the church itself depicted in this movie, and of all the tensions between the male church elders and everybody else in the movie, especially the main characters. But the yellow color is interesting. It has this weird tension between occasionally a goldenish yellow or a jaundiced yellow. I love yellow because I think it hits us psychologically either way. Either it can look sickly or it can look majestic, sun-like, or golden. And I find that this movie, particularly the hospital scenes, all the hospital scenes where Jan is in bed, struggling to even move his fingers, he knows he's paralyzed, he wants to die, those have a distinct jaundice color to them. Now, why is the color scheme important? Here's the deal in this movie is that Bess lives in a world without aesthetic beauty, really aesthetic excellence or joy. The church she attends, for example, bare walls. If these are Scottish Covenanters, they have no aesthetics at all other than bare bones, sort of bland colors. They also sing, I think these people sing a cappella music in church, and thus that goes along perfectly with, no music overlaid over the top of the movie. When Jan comes in, classic outsider here, he's stirring up her world, giving her new colors and new life, as it were. And the church, significantly, Jan and his friends ask the church members, why don't you have church bells? Why aren't you ringing the bells at Jan and Bess's wedding? And they say, we have no need for bells. The house of God has no need for bells.
Ring the bells then.
Our church has no bells.
It's not too fun, is it?
Well, you know what? The bells are going to be very significant in this movie. So lack of music, no bells, washed out colors, but then this infusion of Jan and his friends into the lives of the McNeils, this infusion of pop music, weirdly, into this movie. I think it's trying to stir up the idea that the lack of aesthetic excellence is one of the problems with this Scottish community. Now, Bess is really interesting. You could take this movie as a portrait of a faithful servant of God who's nevertheless confused and nevertheless very simple. She has a huge heart, the biggest heart of anyone, we're told in this movie, and you see it on Emily Watson's face the entire movie. She's relatively innocent, when she's married, she's a virgin, and throughout the movie you see her several times pray, these moments of confession where she prays to her God. And what's weird is that you have a sort of schizophrenic moment where she prays and then she vocalizes what she thinks is the voice of God.
I pray for Jan to come home. He will be coming home in 10 days. You must learn to endure. You know that. I can't wait.
They may be her delusions, they may be the voices of her church elders talking through her, or they may be, the works of the Holy Spirit within her, sort of bringing up this idea of who God is to her and how he's helping her out. Is this movie anti-religious? You could read this movie certainly that way. The church elders are depicted as nasty, repressive, tough dudes. And definitely this movie feels like a parable, actually a combination of gospel parables. For example, the Good Samaritan comes up in here several times. The woman at the well in the Gospel of John chapter 4 comes up, for example, all the time, with the best character sort of mirroring the Samaritan woman. And another allusion in this movie is Louis Buñuel's wonderful Belle du Jour, in which a married woman, an ordinary woman, wants to become a prostitute and actually prostitutes herself for the thrill of it. With Jan asking Bess to go have sex with other men, she at first is hesitant. Everybody in her life says no, but you know what? She's going to do it to obey her husband, to serve him, and she thinks that's going to bring him out of bed, that somehow her sacrifice is going to make Jan healthy and whole. In other words, Bess loves Jan so much, and she says this over and over again, that she will do anything, she will sacrifice herself for him. On the one hand, it's very perverse, obviously, as the young doctor says late in the movie. What she and Jan are misunderstanding are that you can be married without necessarily having sex. Is sex a key part, an essential part of marriage? This movie is asking that question.
Can you even tell us what matrimony is?
It's when two people are joined in God.
On the other hand, it's also symbolizing love, especially the love between these two people, their devotion to each other. They want each other so badly that they go into perversity in order really to fulfill each other. Along with music and colors, sex is an aesthetic experience that can be misused, but is also a key, crucial part of the human experience in general. And it feels like, the community she's in wants to repress her, repress everybody in all kinds of ways. Now, the handheld camera work is really amazing. Lots and lots of shaky cam shots. It looks like a documentary. Lots of quick pans or flash pans. Cuts to flash pans. It makes it look exciting, and you're invested in this movie all the way. And once you get to the last half hour of the movie, that documentary style really hits you. Everything feels extremely real, and you're invested in Bess. I find the point of view of this movie, in fact, is you're a pseudo Bess. You're sort of this spirit standing right outside her or over her shoulder and seeing her life as it is. This movie is not so much about geography or society or big picture views. In fact, it gives you no big picture views until the very last shot. Although this movie is 2.5 hours, I watch this movie and it goes by, it feels like it's only a half hour long. And I gotta say, I do not want to watch this movie ever again because it's just hard to take the last 30 minutes of it. But that last scene, and here's a spoiler, the church bells in the sky, finally get the aesthetic moment they've been waiting for the whole time, where at Jan and Bess's wedding, they didn't ring the church bells. Well, now the bells are ringing in heaven, as it were, when Bess is buried at sea. You get these gorgeous sort of bell tones and sounds, the sounds that you didn't hear throughout the entire movie. And you get the smiles on the faces of these oil rig workers, especially Jan, who for once in this movie, besides, the wedding experience, Jan, is finally at peace, I think, and very pleased and happy with this final moment in the movie. And the final shot is so metaphysical and interesting, and it signals a miracle. You ask the question, does this movie condemn religion? I think the answer is definitely not, because the end shows you a miracle. So anyway, go watch this movie, and if you have, what did you think about it? What are your comments? I'd love to know. Please tell us in the comments. Oh, and please subscribe to this channel. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.